Alright, after taking a bit of a break for myself between these, I think it's about time I get back into the swing of things with Payday 3 Heists, talking about one of the heists I know pretty well, for better or worse, Dirty Ice. Dirty Ice is this game's standard jewelry store heist, being the smash and grab before smash and grab was introduced, and as such is one of the more simple heists in the game, at least on the surface. Whether you go about it stealthily or by shooting up the place, the map is very small and confined, and your main objective is to just grab the jewelry, starting with the average value bags in the front area, the higher value ones in the VIP section, and lastly, the vault with a large gemstone in it which requires either a willing NPC or another player to open, as well as the red keycard from the basement. Once you've gotten sufficient loot, you're then able to just get out of there with your haul. Or, if you know what you're doing, you'll take the manager hostage and lead her to the eye scanner in front of the store in the VIP room to access the jewelry scanner, which will make your loot even more valuable, as long as you have the patience to wait about 30 seconds for each bag, barring the opal from the vault, because it's a big orb that doesn't need to be scanned. You do this by either just grabbing her as soon as the heist starts when you go loud, or going to the basement in stealth after finding the correct code, which you can find by checking the computer, then having Shade blackmail her over the phone with the contents of the safe, leading her into the back for you to grab safely. Now this is decently designed and all, but there's also a very real possibility of someone trolling you and simply shooting the manager, or someone else throws a stray frag grenade and just kills every NPC inside the shop, or somebody else just, innocently trades her thinking she's a normal NPC. After that, you kind of don't have a choice in regards to whether you're cleaning the jewelry or not, even though it's a wooden door and you could very easily drill through it or use thermite to burn it down. Why you're unable to do that, I have no earthly idea. So, my first change would just be to have an alternative to this door than the manager that activates only when she's killed, like Golden Shark with the first gate that you open in the heist, to jump the gun a bit there. I'm going to be a bit different with this when I start talking about the changes from here on, though, because the jewelry store heist is one that was actually revisited less than a year after Payday 3's release with Diamond District, which is something I'll be taking a few notes from, starting with the favors, because looking at Dirty Ice's favors, the escape van favor is absolute garbage and does quite literally nothing of value. What does it do? It delays Twitch leaving from when the alarm goes off, to Twitch instead leaving when first response arrives. Twitch staying until first responders arrive doesn't change the fact that he leaves when you go loud anyway, it just means he leaves 30 seconds after the alarm goes off instead of 10, which is completely worthless unless you're trying to make sure you can still get away in a botched stealth run. To replace this, we can simply take a favor from Diamond District here, that being the armored police van, and just put it in Dirty Ice, meaning Twitch doesn't drive off and you have a safer alternative to the rooftop chopper escape. Speaking of escapes, though, there's only really one that exists at this point for loud gameplay, and that's the chopper in the street that's intended to be a temporary escape. You use a flare to call Bile in the street, where he stays for a couple minutes before moving to the dock after getting shot at for a while. I say intended to be temporary because everyone who's played this heist within the last month waits until they have 3 bags left to be cleaned before even approaching the flare to call in Bile so they can just ignore needing to go to the dock entirely. Not that I blame them, the dog is very far away and runs into the issue of bag moving that no rest does with the ballers of being shot at far more easily while you go forward and back and then forward and back and then go forward and back and put one foot forward. But this is an escape I'd like to see tweaked a bit, maybe adding in something like the dinghy we see in Delivery Charge and Turbot Station so we could have a permanent escape at the docks, basically at the beginning of a loud run of the heist, and just put the bags in there as they're cleaned. Or alternatively, have a chance to get something like the bag cage, again, like Diamond District does. Alternatively, something using both could be done where one is used as the location you send the bags while the other is just used for the escape. Speaking of bags, I figure I should talk about this jewelry store security measures, or more specifically, their lack thereof. Looking over at Diamond District yet again, each of the 5 stores in that heist have these security bars that can be raised and lowered to attempt to prevent theft, to no avail, of course, since you're playing Payday. But this is something that I think could easily be implemented into Dirty Ice without much hassle. Just put one in front of each of the 4 windows as well as the door that you can toggle in stealth by finding the button in the back, and thus prevent extra NPCs from walking in and out of the store while you're moving them all into the back if you're trying to get all the bags cleaned solo. One other thing within the building itself that I'd change is something specifically for very hard and overkill difficulty, that being a chance for the red keycard that you need for the opal in the upstairs vault to potentially be inside the basement vault on the top shelf, instead of always being on the guard in that difficulty. This is mostly for the situation where you go loud before grabbing the keycard, killing that guard in the initial first response rush, and then not being able to find the keycard underneath the subsequent pile of SWAT bodies. This isn't something that needs to be changed in normal and hard difficulty since it's on the table in the locked room in those difficulties anyway. Just make it a bit more difficult to grab without the potential of permanently losing it in very hard and overkill. Now, going into the structure of the heist itself for a moment, something I think would be pretty interesting is having this separate building that you can climb on to get to the rooftop chopper escape as a building for the jewelry scanner to potentially be in, though the likelihood of this happening is low, at least until Starbreeze eventually moves the game over to an upgraded engine for lighting purposes. But a jewelry store with a separate building for more valuable loot could be interesting and also spice up replays of it, while also not really removing the possibility of clearing this heist in 2 minutes for the sake of an achievement. So in summary, this heist is one that I don't have that many changes for, since it's actually one that's pretty decently thought out in terms of what's already there, at least compared to the other heists. It even has an option to drill the basement door if you don't want to bother finding the code, which in and of itself is a pretty decent minor challenge to figure out for as short as this heist can be. But really, my changes mostly have to do with how you escape the heist and, ironically, helping the store actually be more secure. For your benefit, of course. The major worry I would have with some of these changes, though, is that it ended up making this feel even more like a Diet Diamond district of sorts, with how many things I'm somewhat copying from that with this, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? That's why Delivery Charge is one of the most acclaimed heists in the game so far, and that's really just Starbreeze reusing old content in a new and interesting way. But with Dirty Heist finished up, next on the list is the nightclub heist, Rock the Cradle, which I've been, funnily enough, thinking about quite a bit, as that's one that stumped me for a while in terms of ideas. But I can get more into that next time, assuming my next video is that one. I've been wanting to do more than talk about just Payday, so I might make a video on something else entirely, which I hope you guys enjoy when it comes out eventually. Until then, hope you enjoyed, thanks for watching, and take care of yourselves.
Payday next week.